Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet. I'm really appreciating the listener feedback that I'm getting associated with This Comes Next. A number of folks who are long-time Short Funk listeners, some of whom were Stone Ape listeners, some of whom weren't Stone Ape listeners, have been getting in contact with me associated with This Comes Next, and have been providing really critical feedback early on in a project which I hope will have some legs. And in doing this, they are providing insights, some of which that I've had implicitly, some of which that I haven't had at all, but actually providing a voice to some of these insights I think is very, very important. And a majority of this feedback I haven't actually shared with Jay, not necessarily intentionally, but just because I think the format for her is very, very new. I mean, the notion of recording a podcast for people that haven't recorded podcasts previously is just a different thing. And I'm relatively mindful that I want as much uniqueness to come from Jay as possible through this. So a lot of the insights are more towards me in terms of my responsibility with regards to production, but also just general topic format and these kind of things. And I'm really appreciating Short Funk listeners as being long-term friends in some quite profound way, providing these kind of insights, because ultimately I think it's very beneficial for me to get a sense that there are folks who may or may not have listened to Stone Ape that are really interested in embracing This Comes Next. And I think the thing that interests me with This Comes Next in particular is the ability to get a completely new audience. Now, this is a problem as well as a project. The problem associated with it is the success that I've seen through Model Rail Radio in particular was due to word of mouth, and due to word of mouth that was instantaneous, immediate. The immediate word of mouth for Model Rail Radio grew the podcast exponentially initially and provided an amazing feedback to me that this was the right way to construct a podcast on this particular topic. And I tested out a few ideas on the audience. Things went backwards and forwards, but I still had a sense of the growth very early on. This Comes Next has a different perspective on growth. And what I'm seeing with it as a podcasting form is more that it's like Stone Ape in terms of gathering a group of listeners and then nurturing that group of listeners. Moving listeners to be advocates, to be word-of-mouth advocates, is a very interesting problem, and it's one that I haven't necessarily solved, and I've had mixed success with historically. So, we'll have to see how this thing works out. But in the short term, I'm really very appreciative of the listener feedback that I've received from Short Funk listeners, because I think certainly the understanding of the project, like the long-term understanding of the project, is something that I always appreciate external insights into. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.